Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Sunrise. My name is David Williams. I'm here at the Through These Walls hotel parking lot on Long Island. That's right down this weekend visiting Faye. And I got about 20 minutes, actually 18 minutes to go. And I'm just waiting. Oh, what's this? Oh, we have a musical. We have a musical. Actually, it's from the movie Gettysburg.
Colonel, sir, if you would so honor me.
Colonel, sir, I've been moving these Rebs with an empty musket.
That's loud. Colonel, your orders to go up to the top of the big hill. My New Yorkers will take over your prison.
Yes, sir.
Colonel, we watch from our position above. It's the damnedest thing I ever saw. May I shake your hand, sir?
Colonel, one thing. The name of this place, this hill. Has it got a name, this hill?
This is Little Round Top. That's the name of the hill you're defending. The big one you're going up to, that's Big Round Top.
Yes. I guess I'll remember that.
We will all remember July 2nd, 1863. Again, fine film, Gettysburg. Heard there the voices. Well, the one guy I know. And, he's Jeff Daniels. In the film Gettysburg, again, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, hero, Day 2 at Gettysburg, defending the Union flank. That's right. His position was the final position, and there was no ability to be able to surrender. Even if you were in desperate straits, you had no opportunity. You must stand your ground here at this position, and he did so. Amazing. The 20th Maine, a tip of my hat to them for what they did there at the Battle of Gettysburg. For if we lost that battle, we, the American people, our Union would be no more. If the South won that battle, it wasn't just Southern Confederacy, for indeed that Confederacy, why, it would have broken up into smaller pieces. The American experience would have been over there. And so, again, I thank them. Now, today, I'm the Monsignor, 15 minutes. He's coming out with a show on family life. And typically around this time of the year, the Monsignor does that, right after Halloween, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, the next weekend. That's what he does, and that's what he's going to do today. I got 15 minutes until it comes out live. Right now, there's a talk radio show in progress there. I'll be going back in time travel today to previous episodes that the Monsignor has done on, indeed, family life, including, to 2019, when I was living in my apartment at the Adams. Again, the Adams named after one of our heroes, our American founder, John Adams, again, from the early days of our republic, again, buy the book, John Adams, and watch the HBO miniseries. It'll explain it all, yeah. But now I'm reading, and, I want something in the background for that thing. I'm definitely going to read this thing that I wrote back in 2019 before I do a little time travel into that particular episode. All right, this should be adequate. A compilation album entitled Most Old Beautiful Love Songs of the 80s and 90s. And so we bring out, to me, it sounds like Bryan Adams. Great song. And I was very happy, pleased, and proud to have Bryan's song Heaven on Love Album for Faye. Absolutely. So, from November the 11th of 2019, or actually the 10th and the 11th, it's kind of confusing. Sunday was the 10th. Monday was Veterans Day. And all the veterans out there, I thank you for your service. Monsignor Jim Vlaun leads us off again in part one with this show, Religion and Rock. His topic this week is family life. The following is extracted from my post on Facebook. Please feel free to friend me on Facebook. I certainly welcome new friends. And then I provide a link to my wall on Facebook. And so this is the post. With this 11-minute recording, referring to bonus track number 3 below, we recorded yesterday, I thank all of our nation's veterans for their service. The story goes that in 1975, the tennis player Billie Jean King asked Elton John to write a song for her tennis team, the Philadelphia Freedoms. He told her that he would do it, and indeed he did. The following year, the year of our nation's bicentennial, James Taylor released Shower the People. And a song I'm very happy to say appeared on my program yesterday here in 2022 at the end of Extreme Overtime. Certainly did. And it was sort of just before Faye arrived, and so towards the end of yesterday's show, absolutely. Anyway, that particular song peaked at number 22 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped Billboard's adult contemporary chart for a week in August of 1976. The selection of November the 11th for Veterans Day has to do with the ending of World War I, Armistice Day, and that story is told really well here, and then I provide a link to militarytimes.com where they provide the history of Veterans Day. And then the memorial pictures attached to this post, see my Facebook link above, are of a Veterans Memorial here on Long Island in the town of Icelandia. And it is at the intersection of Old Nichols Road and Halsey Street. Now, Old Nichols Road, not to be confused with exit 62 on the LIE, and I tell you no lie. And Halsey Street may or may not be named after Admiral Bull Halsey in World War II, and with that I would typically bust into a McCartney, an Admiral Halsey, and, Uncle Albert, or whatever Uncle Albert in this particular case, and Admiral Halsey, with Paul. I would definitely do it, but again, time does not allow. So anyway, the post continues. I'm reading from an archive of my songboard Sing. That's another story. I had named my songboard Sing, which holds all my content for all my shows, after their song Sing. And I explained this to Faye yesterday. Faye knew that it came from Sesame Street and Joe Raposo, and that it's in honor of the Carpenters. Tip of the hat, sing a song, sing out loud to last your whole life long. 9 minutes, 9. That magical number, I talked about its significance last week. Not going to do it this week. So anyway, in part one, back then, Sunday, November the 3rd, early morning, and, some introductory remarks, kind of like this right here. Then it was You and Me, great tune, which was on my first love album for Faye. It's by Lifehouse, not going to be confused with The Structure at the shore, that's there, protecting ships out there on our seas. But, Lifehouse, You and Me. I'm very happy to have the song. And it was a subdued version, early AM, kind of like now. Of course, we fell back, so, it is what it is. It's 6:52 a.m. And now Malibu's main display says 7:52 a.m. I'll fix that momentarily. Yeah, absolutely. So after that, there was a song called Norwegian Wood. Alternatively, This Bird Is Flown by the Beatles. Then there was Here, There, and Everywhere, version 2, song which was also on my first love album, For Faye, There's a long story behind version 2, and I'm going to go past it. Then there was Let It Be, great tune, the Beatles, and it's like a Beatles show, Long and Winding Road, the Beatles, New York Minute Live version, of course, the Eagles, it's a Don Henley tune from his solo career. Don was kind enough to permit the Eagles to perform it live. And of course, Don is the leader of that particular band. But yeah, it was live, and it was the Hell Freezes Over tour back in the mid-90s. Great version. Well done. It is true. You, Brian, you're good. Now, then there was The Girl from Yesterday, one of the new tracks released on that album. There was 4 of them: The Girl from Yesterday, Get Over It, Love Will Keep Us Alive, and Learn to Be Still. Great album. Buy it today. Hell Freezes Over. Then there was my favorite from Glenn's solo career, Glenn Frey, The One You Love. That is my favorite from his solo career, by Glenn Frey. And by the way, 1981 class of 1981, John Glenn, go Glenn. Then it was Learn to Be Still, and then repeated following the incoming SMS text from Faye, naturally. Faye might have texted back then, and it might have interrupted the beginning of the song, Learn to Be Still, and that just means I probably took it from the top, maybe did it twice, doesn't really matter. Then it was Sheep, great song from the 1977 album Animals by Pink Floyd. I might go, ma, at the appropriate time in the song Sleep. If it was dogs, then I would go, woo, 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 and, howl and stuff like that. I certainly would at the appropriate time in that particular song from the Pink Floyd album Animals. I absolutely would do it. Then there was Nowhere Man, a song by the Beatles, John Lennon with principal songwriting responsibility on that one. John was laying on a couch. He was saying, I can't think of any songs to write. I'm going nowhere with this. I am the Nowhere Man. And then it all came to him in a flash. And boom, wonderful. That's sometimes how things happen, I guess, in music. Now, then The Middle by Maren Morissette and Gray. I am proud to say, David Williams, that was my main campaign theme song in 2020, and I lost that election, folks. I ran for the presidency of the United States. Hopefully I'll be very clear about that and gracefully concede like I did, not only on the night of the election, 11/3, 11/3 rather, 2020, but on Saturday, November the 7th, when all the mainstream media called it for Biden. And everyone believed that, except for, Trump and a handful of extreme radicals that never accepted the truth. That's what's come to be called the big lie. Don't have time for it right now. I could talk for hours about the big lie. Don't have time for it right now. Then, after The Middle with Maren Morissette and Gray, it was Her Town 2. I joined James Taylor and J.D. Souther in the singing of it. Then there was some apartment karaoke chat. Carolina J, what a great guy. Worked with Carolina J back at the firm. And a little chat about him back then. I was there then, but I'm not going to really be talking about the firm this morning either. It was Carolina in my mind. James Taylor and Tiny Dance with Elton John. Official, the official video version. Again, check it out online. Up on the Roof. Yep, I went up on the roof. James Taylor with the great tune, I Do It Again. Then it was Another Day in Paradise, a song, where I have defended Phil from some, misguided individuals from back in the day. No, I'm serious. 1989 when it was released on the album. But seriously, people were coming out and attacking Phil, saying, how can a rich guy like Phil Collins do a song like that? And I said, Phil can do any song he wants. Phil, give me a call. We can do Another Day in Paradise in my car, Malibu. Give me a call, 573-680-356. And I'd be happy to do it, either in my car or in my apartment with permission of my landlord, M. Maybe M might want to join in, sing along with it. Or maybe, M, maybe he plays an instrument. Maybe M would like to play on the song Another Day in Paradise. Just think about it. It's possible. Now, then there was Downtown Train with the legendary Sir Rod Stewart. Very happy to get on that particular train. And loved it. Then it was In the Shape of a Heart. I scanned the heart. I'm a cardiac sonographer. I joined Jackson Browne in the singing of it. Fantastic tune. Also a great walking song. As I mentioned before, it is the penultimate song, meaning second to last, in all of my exercise walking playlists. If you want any of those, any that I send you, you'll find it second to last. And of course, the last song on there you'll find would be the late, great Eddie Money with I Want to Go Back. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm taking you back, sort of in a verbal time travel, to this write-up from 2019. I got 3 minutes left. Now, part 2 opens up with a apartment karaoke happy birthday recording of Stairway to Heaven, played live on WBAB. I joined in this thing, singing of it from 102.3. Then it was a happy birthday recording by the Beatles. You know, maybe I was saying happy birthday to someone on that particular date. And then it was Let It Be. Then I played with Paul McCartney and Wings, Let Him In, you know. Someone's knocking on the door. What do you do? Do you go run and hide? You know, what do you do about it? You know, who could it be, you know? Your sister Susie, your brother John, who's out there? Maybe it's the holidays. Now, I mentioned the holidays. You know, Thanksgiving, going to my sister D down in PA. Christmas, my sister C down here on Long Island. And I'm very happy to say yes. Thank you very much for inviting me to both of my sisters. I love all 4 of my sisters, but thank you very much for those 2. For inviting me to holiday meal. There's nothing wrong with David Williams having a holiday meal. I'm standing by that position. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff and all this. Now I don't have the time for the time travel. Let's just admit it. I've ruined the entire show. It's 7:59. There's that number again. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Malibu's display. You guys know it's not 7:59, right? It's really 6:59. And that's the important thing. Interestingly, something that's changed on this particular visit to the Through These Walls Hotel, the checkout time has changed. They changed it from noon, which it was for years and years, always had been. Now it's 11 a.m. And that's a big head scratcher. Of course, that saves them an hour of hotel room on all of the things, but it's kind of a big head scratcher. Well, with the time change, how does that affect everything else? And when I leave today and stuff, it's all very confusing. And they've also added a $25 fee a day per pets, up to a maximum of $75. You know, if you stay more than 3 days here at the Through These Walls Hotel, you'll only pay the $75, you know. Let me tell you, there's a lot of people not making... Oh! That's my alarm. I guess I better switch it. It's 7 o'clock. Again, my phone, Black Velvet, knows the time. So it automatically adjusts for that, whereas Malibu doesn't. But I'll fix Malibu. So now we welcome the Monsignor with today. That's right. And, you know, today's particular episode is on family life, as I think I might have mentioned, for, you know, November the 6th of 2022. So here he is, Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and we'll get back to that time travel, you know, for 2021, 2020, 2019, but not now, certainly not now.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlaun. Here is our producer and engineer, Mr. Stephen Shaldo.
Hello there, sir. Happy fall, speeding towards Thanksgiving to you. I can't believe we're in November.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You know, I love Thanksgiving. You know, it's a big time of the year for me. One of my favorite holidays. The other thing, though, is this year, oddly enough, my dad's in a nursing home, right? So he'll be there for Thanksgiving. And the nuns, who I always used to go to, they're not doing Thanksgiving this year due to a lot of factors. So it's kind of interesting. We're in this kind of boat where I'm out there.
Welcome to being a Thanksgiving orphan. I've done it for many years. I've been with you. I've been with aunts, uncles, friends, you know, whoever will take me around and let me sit at their table and feed me at Thanksgiving.
There's a lot of angles to family, you know, and I think that's okay, right? And there's friends who become family. All of that stuff ends up, right?
No, I was going to say you have multiple families. We have our radio families. You have the television family. We have our families. And they all kind of overlap. And it's great when they kind of come together, especially when you have people that your family adopts. You know, your brothers from another mother, or what is it, your sister from another mister kind of people.
Yeah, I think that's a great gift. I mean, the people God gives us in our lives on both sides. We're looking at family life today. And, you know, some of that is fantastic because it's a tremendous gift of family that we have inherited. But other the ones who came along the way, the ones who married into the family, that's a great gift too, right?
Yep. Well, no, and it's really important to have those people.
So it's all about family life, and that's such an important thing. It's a great gift from God that we celebrate in our lives. I mean, you guys were 4 brothers all together, and there had to be times when that was just nutty, right?
My mom would tell you there were days where she wanted to kill us because we were all trying to kill each other, whether it was 1 on 3, 2 on 2, 3 on 1. There was always some sort of strife, but it's funny because the neighbor down the street had 5 boys, and we overheard them when we were all playing out back that my mom told told Mrs. Trainer, "Oh, your children are so well behaved." And Mrs. Trainer said, "I thought your children were well behaved." And they both said the same thing. "My children are monsters." But they put up with us and they nurtured us and they loved us and with all the antics. And we really did have a really good family foundation. We had dinner at the table every night kind of things. And it really helped us. And we're still really close to, even though we're all across the country right now.
We have some young guys at work who are like young dads, and it's a beautiful thing to see them saying, "Yeah, I got to go home. My son has a soccer game, or my other son is going to this, or he's going to jujitsu, or whatever it is, Yep. And there's something beautiful about that, like the effort that it takes to build family. That's building the foundation that people have the rest of their lives, and it's such an important investment. So all of you who are working at that and doing that every day, this is a show for you because it's all about that gift, and it's about the gift of doing that and building the family, and it's also the gift of enjoying the hard work that others did on us, because that's also part of this, right? Yeah, no, having a family, it's like a marriage. It is not easy. You're going to go through great times and hard times and trial times, and you get through it together. And, when you look back on it, it's some of the best times. We laugh about some of our fights when I talk to my brothers. Yeah, it's the work of family. That's what it's about, the work of family. It's all about family life on Religion and Rock today. The power of God interceding and giving us people to go through life with. We'd be lousy alone. We need other people in our lives, and that's the important thing about it. So as we enter into this holiday season, we call it Advent in the Catholic Church and Christian Church. Yeah, we're going to look at the gift of family. To start us off today, this is Squeeze, If I Didn't Love You.
Okay, I just want to squeeze this one thing, and then I'm not going to say a word, I'm just not going to, no disrespect to the whole squeeze, thing. I don't know the tune. And so I'm going to use this opportunity. Again, I'm completely out. I got this basically a Dixie cup of coffee, and they're provided complimentary here at the Through These Walls Hotel. And I'm going to do that. It's my only opportunity. Hopefully, there'll be a lot more songs coming up in this show that I know really well. And then I'll be able to sing along, but not now.
If I didn't love you, I'd hate you. I'm playing your stereo brand. Singles remind me of kisses. Albums remind me of plans. Tonight it's love by the fire. The wind plays over the coast. Passion looks up my fancy, but you turn the look into stone. If I didn't love you, would you sit and glow by the fire? If I didn't love you, would you make me feel so? Never love me. Oh, if I didn't love you. If I didn't love you, would you sit and go? Fire, fire. If I didn't love you, would you make me feel so? Man, lovely. Oh, if I didn't love you, would you sit and go? Fire, fire. If I didn't love you, would you make me feel so? Man, lovely. Oh, if I didn't love you. If I didn't love you.
Hey, Squeeze, if I didn't love you, most of us have family situations where love kind of conquers all. Disappointment, hurt, pain, betrayal, all these kinds of things kind of get triumphed by the gift of family and how important that is. Now, in some families, that's just not so. There's some real fracture and there is a painful loss. There's a painful fracturing of a relationship. I don't speak to my brother. I don't speak to my sister. I don't speak to my parents, something like that. Ultimately, hopefully, the goal would be that one day there is some kind of hope for reunion. I've seen it happen, and it's a very moving thing when it happens. If we pray about it, sometimes God creates a way where there's seemingly no way. Sometimes there's a path back home, if you will, in a way that there never was one. There's a lot of stories in the Bible of people who have broken families, and they kind of reunite and find their family once again. The greatest of these is the prodigal son, right, from the Gospel of Luke, where this son goes off, he squanders all the money, comes home, the father's waiting for him, throws his arms around him. That's how God is with us. So even if that's us, you know, there's this love of God for us that welcomes us home again and again. It's never too late to come home, and that's such a great gift in our lives. Here's Queen, Spread Your Wings.
Let me just squeeze in here. You know, long live the king. We have a new king of England, King Charles III. And then, you know, pop back into Queen and just to say, yeah, I got my coffee. Thank you.
To leave his dead life behind. He's forced to him, boy, you'd better begin to get those crazy notions right out of your head. Say, who do you think that you are? You should have been sweeping up the emperor. Spread
mean spread your wings? Well, you know what? No matter what happens in our lives, we always have that gift of family, even as we spread out. I think about Steve Chaldon's family. You know, they're all over the country, these guys, his brothers, you know, and there's something about the fact that they're still a close family, even though there's distance in their lives, you know, physical distance. There's something great about that in our lives. And even the ones who have gone home, even the ones who are home in heaven, they still remain a part of our family in a very powerful way. So there's something really good about that, to recognize that, yeah, though we spread our wings, though we have our own families and we kind of spread out, we still have the link of that family unit, you know, and that's an important gift from God and something worth thanking God for every day. The holiness of our family, that glue that kind of holds us together. Again, a lot of us are all over the place, and yet we still have that gift of linking. That sort of happens with friends too, right? Friends who kind of become family, that incredible gift of being able to be far apart maybe, but the internet and the gift of technology brings us so much closer together these days. You know, we can have that relationship and continue in a beautiful way. That's something so important. Here's Bon Jovi, I'll Be There For You.
Okay, David Williams back now. I must say, in my own personal situation, somewhat akin to Stephen, you know, that Ken are kind enough to reach out to me, and I'm very happy to accept offers for holiday meals, you know, whether it be any holiday, but particularly with Thanksgiving and Christmas looming so close. I'm very happy, looking forward to it. Isn't that what it's all about? Looking forward to, remaining excited. You know, the Monsignor has a show entitled Remaining Excited. If I wanted to, you know, I could easily look and, you know, do that search and find in one of my Sing archives and find it very easily on Remaining Excited. Also shows, you know, about, you know, being positive, and I do rewinds on that also to distant times. But yeah, Stephen, separated by distance, me too, from my four sisters. And again, that spirit is still there out at Williams' family sibling site, Facebook Messenger group, a real group, in which my sister Rach down in Tennessee, she said, basically, let's do a reunion, you know. And it was clear there, you know, it was kind of in the undertext. Let's do it before it's too late, you know. We're all mortal. Let's do that. And I agreed with that. You know, I think I might have given one of those, you know, thumbs up emoji to it, or I might have, you know, marked it with a heart emoji or something like that. I certainly may have. And I've talked about these things before on the program. Absolutely. Now, H, she was the one who was kind enough to reach out to the entertainment director at my mom's nursing home. I'm not going to tell you the name of that particular facility, just that it's down in PA. And she reached out, and then she said to me in one of those texts that he, Bob, David, will be reaching out to you. And I was like, that's great. I'll talk about that on the program. We'll wait around, you know, for Bob. And sometimes I do songs on waiting. Not too long ago, The Waiting, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, to honor the man's, what would have been his 72nd birthday if he had, you know, if we had been fortunate enough to still have Tom with us. Did that one. Absolutely. Waiting songs, the Stones, whether it's Sticks or Stones, absolutely. They did, you know, Waiting on a Friend, and, well, Sticks did many great tunes, and you guys know that as well as I did. Lady, yes, my lady, Faye, she's not here right now, folks, but when she comes along, you know, again today, this nonsense will cease for a time. Well, then I'll have a wonderful, you know, time with Faye. Lovely Sunday breakfast, probably Dunkin' Donuts. I'm just predicting that up front. I'll come back later, and we'll find out what Faye and I had for breakfast. We will, but, you know, I'll be doing the time travel as well, going back to those other, you know, episodes talking about family life then and now. It'll be great, and I'm looking forward to it. I was fortunate to have a great upbringing by my family. Again, Williams family, East Northport, New York, you know, back, you know, mostly, you know, 70s, little early 80s, absolutely, you know. And, you know, tune-wise, we'll also be doing that as well a lot on apartmentkaraoke.com. I pretty much do that all the time, and I like to do that, and so I'm looking forward to it and doing that. So I'm going to probably be changing my location here just to a better, you know, reception area. We're getting a little static in the background. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear it when the Monsignor's talking. Now, again, when the Monsignor speaks, I'm quiet as a church mouse. I'm not going to say a thing. Or the same holds true for Stephen Sheldon, Stephen Sheldon, again, he too going to have, holiday meal with his family, as am I. Again, my sister D down there in PA, my sister C on Long Island for Christmas. And I'm very happy of the fact, yes, I want to spend family time, with my family for Christmas. I certainly do.
Jovi, I'll be there for you. We have a God who promises us the same thing, right? That God will always be there for us no matter what. It's kind of that prodigal son story I was just talking about, that God remains present, kind of waiting for us and walking with us and sharing life with us and rejoicing with the joys in our lives and encouraging us every step of the way. It's about us acknowledging that and being able to see that. And the same thing's true really about the family in our lives and the friends who have become family, that they are there for us, good times and bad, and sickness and health. That's that gift of marriage, that's the vow, right? But at the same time, we sort of vow ourselves to each other in family too. And there's something important about that. In our lives, to be able to be steadfast no matter what, and to not count who called who last, or all of those crazy different things that kind of spread us apart. But the linkage of being there for one another, which is at the root of love, right? That's the root of love. And that's the great gift of family and friends in our lives. It's also the great gift of what God does for each and every one of us, that he's in love with us beyond belief. And so he's there for us. And in all of the different moments of our lives, we can turn to him and recognize that he's there. I've done it 1,000 times. It's a great, great feeling, that's for sure. Here's Boston. This is called Feeling Satisfied. satisfied. Interesting. Not too long from now, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving, and there's a certain satisfaction, isn't there, that you kind of get when you sit around the table with your family and with the friends who sit there with us. There's something about that brings us great joy, right? That's why I love Thanksgiving so much. Really, in a lot of ways, one of my favorite holidays, because it's about gratefulness to the people God's put in our lives and gratefulness to God. That Thanksgiving is such a perfect name for it, because that's what we're called to, that gift of prayerful thanksgiving that helps us to recognize the people who are around us. And kind of, you sit back in your chair, you got a full belly of turkey, and you look around and say, you know what? Life is good. When we can say that kind of moment, and it's not every moment of our lives, I know, but when you can say that kind of moment, we realize that God has really blessed us. That's that feeling satisfied. That's that gift of being connected that we need in this life. We can't just be a bunch of disconnected people. We need to be connected on some level. And the power of that connection, is given to us in this term we call family, which is sometimes much broader than just blood, right? It's the people that marry into the family. It's the people who come along in our lives along the way. And those people matter so much. We're grateful to God for them every day of our lives. Here's Warren Zevon with Bruce Springsteen, actually. It's called Disorder in the House.
Amen, and praise God, to what the Monsignor said there, about those times. You'll never forget them. They'll never come again, like you're sitting around the table, or, you're just sitting around the living room with family. I remember last Thanksgiving, down at my sister Dee's house in PA, and, sometimes I do this little film. We were watching a film. We were. And he had it recorded like on DVR. And It's a Wonderful Life. James Stewart in his iconic role as George Bailey, And, everyone's seen it a million times. But, it's playing and, the words to it. My brother-in-law, Kay, he knows the words to it. And we're anticipating the scenes. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And it's like, hee-haw, it's a great thing. And you just know that you're going to love it. Now, at the end of the thing, really memorable, my brother Kay. Now I'm not throwing my brother Kay under the bus, okay? I'm just saying, with the remote and stuff, accidentally hit the delete button. I was like, oh. And he said, I recorded it like years ago, some holiday, and I've used it ever since. And I said, well, the good thing is it'll come around again. You'll record it again the next time it comes around. And we'll sit down and watch it again, absolutely. Or maybe he's popped online and gone online and, bought the, the DVD version or whatever of it. I think it's a great thing. And so, that or other holiday films, I was talking to Faye, about coming down here to Long Island, Christmas, my sister C. Well, there'll be some singing involved with the thing. I'll make sure of the fact that there will be, And my other sister, D, on Long Island, I was there for Christmas dinner. Recently I was, and we did it. My sister Dee knew what I wanted, and she put the official DVD, which she plays every year, in the DVD player, and she played it, and we watched it in her living room. My sister Dee on Long Island, also Suffolk County, and I'm not going to tell you what town, just to say it's a great film, Scrooge, Albert Finney version from like 1970, and we sang along, with the whole thing. Now I'm not going to counter melody. December the 25th, December the 25th, my friend, December the 25th, all the days in all the world, December the 25th. Correct, absolutely. Sang that one and other tunes from the film. And I've done it before, and I would imagine I'll be doing it again. At my sister C's, and she knows these tunes very well indeed. I've sung them with her before, and sometimes we have Alexa play them. That's right, we do it. We'll say, like, Alexa, play December the 25th from Scrooge, the motion picture starring Albert Finney. Now, Alexa, she just disregards a lot of that extra stuff, your name drop and this Finney stuff. Fine, that's great. And her Alexa, more powerful than my Echo Alexa. I have one of those like old cylinder type of Alexa devices. My sister C has one of the newer ones, like video and everything, and more powerful. And this Alexa knows all the tunes. And Alexa, play whatever. If you say, Alexa, oh, what a beautiful morning from Oklahoma, Alexa would play it. Might be Gordon McRae singing. I might sing along with him. Oh, what a beautiful morning. That's right. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye. Sometimes I've been, local to remote to places out in the country where corn has grown and made this observation, or indeed sunflowers at strawberry fields, hydroponic farms near Skinny Atlas, or, if you prefer, Auburn, New York. Somewhere between the two, there is a place they sell strawberries, and, they have a maze also, created sunflowers. When they're tall enough, you can go in there and get lost. That's right. Get into that maze of sunflowers, and you'll eventually come out, folks. They'll make sure you won't lose your way. It's a large, many, many acres and stuff. Yeah, this is the huge talk over, and this could go on to anything. For whatever, I'll start talking about, family life from years gone by. I will.
Disorder in the house. Well, that's the truth of the matter sometimes too, right? It doesn't always go smoothly. And we have such bad examples of smooth families, right? Like, think about growing up. For me, I had like the Brady Bunch, and the Partridge Family. So single parent family, a second generation kind of family, kind of blended family, and everybody gets along and everything's fine. There's never a problem that's not solved in a half an hour. Think of your sitcoms when you were a kid, maybe another generation. They're all kind of like that. And they do set us up for a lot of frustration because we realize that, there's disorder that's not easily solved in a half an hour. There's family matters that do not have laugh tracks, that are not that funny. And we recognize that in our lives. And sometimes there's real struggle in family. And there's something important about recognizing that struggle, acknowledging it, and saying, yeah, this is really tough. Family's not easy. But it's not something that we can't do, and it's not something that's not beneficial. It's the toughness sometimes of family that kind of calls us to more. My dad's in a nursing home now. He's my last family member. I'm seeing him in a nursing home. We can't have like the normal kind of relationship that we always had all of the years of my life. But you know what? There's disorder in our house, but we make it work, and we figure out a way to continue to be family. Those things, I think, are the things God calls us to, so important in our lives. Here's Billy Joel. This is called Pressure.
Now, this one I always do, and I hope it's the complete version of Pressure, not some radio shortened version that someone might have made, to keep this song shorter back in the day. I prefer the real Pressure with all the verses, nothing cut out, and I'm positive that Billy also enjoys the same thing as well.
You have to learn to pace yourself. Pressure. You're just like everybody else. Pressure. You've only had to run so far, so good. But you will come to a place where the only thing you feel are loaded guns in your face, and you'll have to deal with pressure. To call me paranoid, pressure, but even you cannot avoid pressure. You turn the tap dance into your crusade. Now here you are with your faith and your Peter Pan advice. You have no scars on your face, and you cannot handle pressure. Channel 13, Sesame Street, what does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. Pressure. Don't ask for help, you're all alone. Pressure. You'll have to answer to your own pressure. I'm sure you'll have some cosmic rationale. But here you are in the night, 2 men out and 3 men on the way. look, but inside where we all respond to pressure. I read it too. What does it mean?
I will tell you what it means. It means pressure. Pressure!
I'm sure you have some cosmic ration. But here you are with your faith and your freedom hands. You have no scars on your face, and you cannot handle pressure.
I'm Monsignor Jim. You're listening to Religion and Rock. We're talking about family life today. That's Billy Joel, pressure. There is a lot of pressure in family, right? And especially in younger families today. You know, if you're just married or you're setting up your house, so to speak, and you have some kids, there's so much pressure, right? How do we make financial matters less dominant in our lives when so much pressure comes from finances? You know, all of those things are so important for us to be able to surmount in some way or another. It's not easy to do that, but pressure is a part of all of our lives. How we deal with pressure is going to be really how we deal with life. You know, if we cave, if we turn to drugs or alcohol, you know, to deal with pressure, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to spin out of control. You and I are called to be people who are able to turn that pressure over to God and say to the Lord, listen, help me out. It's about that daily prayer that allows some of the steam to come out so that we can recognize God's with us in the midst of those pressurized moments. I would say this, all of us have pressure, right? Nobody's free of it. It's what we do with the pressure that makes the difference. If we can take that anxiety and that terrible feeling inside of us and turn it over to God, we'll sleep better, we'll act better, and we're going to recognize that we go through this life ups and downs, but that God's with us through it all. Here's the Beatles, Lady Madonna. Yeah, I love that one too, about a mom who's just, you know, crazed with being a mom, right? It's a great, great gift and something important to kind of take a look at and bring great honor to. You know, think about our own moms and the gift of our moms in our lives, but also that gift of the Blessed Mother. You know, we often say, like people who are not Catholic will say, well, why do you guys worship the Blessed Mother? Well, we don't really worship the Blessed Mother. We go to the Blessed Mother of Help because she's sort of like our spiritual mom, you know? And there's something good about that, having a spiritual mom and then a physical mom. You know, I feel like I really do have two moms. It's a great, great gift in a way because they're there to help us. They're there to guide us. They're there to kind of recognize that. But also, there's another component here to give honor to our moms who did the best they possibly could in our lives, who were there for us in so many ways. And there's something really important about that. If you ever want to really learn something about moms, it's really a great, great thing. Look to the life of Saint Monica and her son, St. Augustine. They're celebrated on August 27th is St. Monica. August 28th is her son, St. Augustine. And St. Augustine drove her crazy. And yet she still loved her son in the midst of his crazy life. He wound up converting and he wound up becoming a saint. But it was all about this mother-son relationship. I love the two of them because they're a great example of the respect and honor that comes sometimes later in life, but for our dear old moms and what they've done for us. Here's U2. Sometimes you can't make it on your own.
A lot of great tunes, a lot of great messages of faith, you know. And now I'm just going to be honest. I think honesty is the best policy. Again, I'm not a Catholic man, you know. So when I pray to my Heavenly Father. I pray to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's how I do it. Now, I join in on U2 on a lot of tunes. I certainly do. It's a Beautiful Day. I join in on it, With or Without You. Fantastic tune. Join in on it or talk over it. Have done so before. For example, on my apartment tour video. Yeah, my apartment upstate New York. That's right. Second floor, fully furnished apartment provided by my landlord, and that's fine. I'll be heading back home right now. Of course, I'm down Long Island, parking lot of the Through These Walls Hotel, and looking forward to so many of these great things. I'm thinking of these tunes, you know, Feeling Satisfied. Is that what the one? Boston. I felt very happy. Got a lot of peace from that song. Felt very satisfied with it. Felt satisfied with the move in my location. I think things are coming in clearer when the Monsignor speaks. I'm not hearing a lot of, background FM static. I am not. So I felt satisfied with that. Felt satisfied joining Billy, which clearly was the full pressure, the one with all the verses, and the shout outs and stuff like that. And of course, the references to baseball. That's right. It was 2 out, 3 men on. And Billy mentioned the fact in that song. Also, he's mentioned baseball. Maybe Billy likes baseball. I like baseball. There's nothing wrong with Billy liking baseball also. That's right. Of course, this is where I typically would reference the winner. Congratulations to Houston. Their victory last night, winning Game 6 of the World Series, to defeat the Philadelphia Phillies 4-2 in that series. And, well, I'll be honest with you, folks, I didn't watch the game. I was with Faye, and after that, well, I went to bed. I absolutely did. I was kind of tired, and had a lovely day with Faye. This is when I usually just do a nice digression, and Faye and I, well, we went down the Dune Road, Cubsquag Beach, as I've talked about when I did that episode that referenced the migration of the monarch butterflies, not too long ago. Might have been like last month or something like that. Yeah, they were down there. It's just about a half a mile away. You walk out the trail. Yeah, a clear reference to Billy's song, half a mile away. You walk out there, and then, you'll see these lovely, conifer trees, pine trees, and you look up in the branches, and there they were, back then. Millions and millions of them, all over the place. Met a lot of interesting people and stuff. Walked down to the, to the left. There's the ocean, You walk along a trail down to the ocean, through the dunes and everything like this. And I talk about it when I do the song This Is the Time by Billy Joel from his album The Bridge, just inserting that there. And it wasn't that cold, though, as described by Billy in the song. But I will say this, it was on my second love album, For Faye, Part 2, in addition to my favorite Billy song. My favorite is a song from his 1977 album, The Stranger, called Just the Way You Are, a fine song. Faye's favorite Billy Joel tune is also from that album. It's called Only the Good Die Young, a fantastic song. Now, back in the day, a little bit of trouble, a little bit of hot water Billy got into it for back in the day, folks, but ultimately, according to the stories I've read, it helped with the sales of the album. The Stranger did very well, and any restrictions to that great tune on radio, whatever radio station, those have been lifted many, many years ago, and it's a great song that I'm happy to sing along with Billy, and also, tell a little anecdote that I have that happened, back in like 2019 at exit 53, Expressway Plaza, in the parking lot there. But again, it's a long time ago, and I don't have enough time in the middle of this great tune by U2 to do that. But again, I don't know. There's so many great things. But yes, I enjoyed singing along with Billy Joel on Pressure, as I've done many times in the past. And, continue to do so in the future as they pop up whenever they do. The Monsignor loves Billy, as do I, often on the program. And I'm very happy about the fact how I am. And I don't know. I could talk about, now I better not go there. There's some stuff that, shouldn't be really mentioned, without the time to do it. So I wouldn't say anything.
Sometimes you can't make it on your own. Bono wrote that about his relationship with his dad. And, guys and their dads always have this kind of struggle a little bit right in life. It's about trying to please them and trying to do what they want and then making it your own way and being a rebel. All of those things are part of life, and how we deal with our dads is such an important thing, too. It's nice the way Sheldon did this. It's a song about moms, a song about dads in a way, but to recognize the power of love that comes from that relationship, too. I think of the teenage years. I was a tough son when I was in my teenage years with my dad, and it's interesting as life goes on, there's this great gift of love. I say I love you to my dad every day. My dad said I love you to me all the time. There's something beautiful about that recognition of that back and forth that sometimes gets ironed out in life. And later on, that gift really comes back in a strong way. So even if it was a tough relationship, to be able to say, in the midst of it all, I learned a lot. In the midst of it all, there was something about this dad in my life that was such a great thing. Bono sings great lyrics here about the struggle. And to recognize later on, in the midst of the fights, he literally goes and fights. In the midst of it all, you know what? We're thankful to God for the gift of these people and how they change our lives. Here's Dire Straits, So Far Away.
Now, just to echo what the Monsignor said, we lost my dad, and my family back in March of 2019. And, I'm very grateful to have had him in my life and to have had it, a very healthy relationship where we could voice those things and said, Dad, I love you. He'd say, son, I love you. That's a precious thing. I'm very thankful for it. I certainly am.
It's a mean old town. You're so far away from me. And where are you when the sun goes down? You're so far away from me. You're so far away from me. You're so far I just can't see. You're so far away from me. You're so far from me. I'm tired of being in love, being all alone. When you're so far away from me, I'm tired of making out on the telephone. 'Cause it's so far away from me. It's so far away from me. It's so far I just can't see. It's so far away from me. You're so far from me. And I get so tired when I have to explain. And you're so far away from me. See, you've been in the sun and I've been in the rain. And you're so far away from me. You're so far away from me. You're so far I just can't see. You're so far away from me. You're so far from me.
Dire Straits, So Far Away. Sometimes there is that tremendous distance, right? Sometimes it's the distance of earth and heaven. Sometimes it's the distance of the country or another country where our loved ones live. It's about that connection that we have that is not about just locality, right? It's about love. And love is a connection that's so strong. It's stronger than anything else, right? It's the strongest connection we have. So when we have love, we know we have God, but we also have this connection to the people who matter in our life. So love is that kind of bond that's such an important thing. And I remember there's a prayer in the funeral mass, it used to be years and years ago, from their place in heaven, they guide us still. There's something about that. We used to say that about holy men and women. From their place in heaven, they guide us still. What an important prayer that is, because that's the truth of the matter. Even distant, they are still with us, our loved ones. Even in heaven, they're still with us, our loved ones. And even in some other place, in Europe or wherever, they love us and we are connected to them. So even though we may not have the physical presence, there's that gift in the midst of distance that recognizes that they're very close. The same thing is true with our loving God, that we celebrate every day, that closeness of God to us as well, who walks with us every day. This is Guns N' Roses. It's called Patience.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Normally I would join in with the whistling here, I started with the whistling. It was Billy Joel, We got that 1977 album, The Stranger. And, that was really Phil Ramone's idea. Billy was experimenting with some instruments for the intro for the song, The Stranger. And Phil said, why don't you try that whistling thing again? Do that again. And so Billy did it. He was like... Yeah, and he did it, and he kept doing it, and eventually he had the intro for The Stranger, a tune which, interestingly enough, Billy doesn't perform live anymore because, people making Billy laugh in his band. Yeah, the guys in Billy's band making him laugh. They got these masks, they put them on, and I'm not talking about, regular paper surgical mask. I'm not talking about an N95, mask, someone more restrictive. Maybe more safer, maybe. And also other types of, medical masks. We're talking funny masks, kind of like the kind Faye and I had back in 2020 for Halloween at Hexer State Park. That's right, Faye and I down by the bay. And, they were like plastic masks. His and her version of skull heads that I purchased somewhere upstate. I'm not going to say where. The ladies' version, it had the lovely little bouquet on top, kind of glued to its skull, absolutely. Faye looked wonderful in it. I had the guy version, which is actually the same one. I just ripped off the bouquet, made it more of a guy, masculine, kind of manly kind of skull head, and talked about the thing. Might have mentioned some relationship to everlasting love. In terms, maybe Faye and I, but also in terms of the great tune by Howard Jones, Everlasting Love, and his official YouTube video featuring, two mummies madly in love. And folks, those mummies will love each other forevermore. Clearly, it's true. They did so in the past. Now they've been mummified with all, the bandage wrap, completely covering them from head to toe. And they're walking around having a lovely day out in the city, Yes, they had an ice cream cone, and they enjoyed it, and whatever, they took a ride in a trolley or something like that. Folks, watch the video, Howard Jones, Everlasting Love. You'll find out about it. And then sometimes I digress into things. For example, this past week I'd made mention of the fact that indeed it was 180 years anniversary. Wish them a very, very happy anniversary, 180 years for Honest Abe and Mary Lincoln. Yes, joined together in eternity. As, some mentioned, Romeo and Juliet are together in eternity, as so stated by William Shakespeare. No, he didn't do it. It was Blue Oyster Cult. And Don't Fear the Reaper. Great tune. One of those songs that, interestingly enough, starts with a left open parenthesis, Don't Fear, close parenthesis, and then, whatever, the Reaper. Blue Oyster Cult, great tune. And I pointed out in the fact that, the whole thing, as they did, our mortality, many of us going every day, many of us, coming on board every day. And it's, it's next guy up, next guy up. And that's the way it goes, whatever you happen to do. For example, I'm an ecotech upstate New York. Let's say when I'm gone, the next person that does cardiac sonography that's trained, registered, will be moved right into that position with absolutely no problem whatsoever. It's the transition of life, the circle of life. And Faye and I were talking about it yesterday. Patience and fortitude. Let's not forget the two of them. They go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. Like mustard on a hot dog. Absolutely. They go together. A couple of lions sitting outside the New York Public Library. Well, they're basically made of stone. Absolutely. Now, this would be a great time. Maybe a Stone in Love. Journey. I would do it. I would sing along with the guy, Steve, the voice, Perry. He is the voice, again, as so stated by Randy Jackson of American Idol. You guys have seen Randy, an expert in music. When Randy says Steve is the voice, I stipulate I so agree. I therefore agree to what Randy said. He is the voice, and I sing along. Sometimes, from his solo career, for example, let's say the Monsignor said, ladies and gentlemen, this is Steve Perry in Foolish Heart. I would be foolish enough to join Steve in the doing of it. For example, on my April Fool's show, it doesn't matter which year, just to say that typically when I do a show that features songs that mention the word fool, sometimes fool, sometimes fooling, Def Leppard, I do that one. And, What a Fool Believes, the Doobies, absolutely. I've done it before, I do it again, with the Doobie Brothers, and then that one too, and others that so mention, Everybody plays the fool, the main ingredient.
Rose's patience. I guess if I was going to give you a recipe for family life, the biggest ingredient in that recipe would definitely be patience, right? We need that gift of patience to be part of a family. And patience is connected to forgiveness and to mercy. And all of the things kind of mixed together into this great product of love, right? Family life is really about love. It's about recognizing the gifts that God has given us, the people God has given us, and the love that binds us all together. So celebrate family in these days, not just on the holidays, every day, and recognize the tremendous gift from God that they are.
You've been listening to Religion and Rock. It's hosted by me, Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and it's engineered and produced by an adopted brother in my life, Stephen Chaldone. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and don't forget, say a prayer.
No one cares for Long Islanders like Catholic Health, delivering the highest quality.
Okay, we'll do as the Monsignor suggests and say a brief prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you for the Monsignor's show today on family life. Lord, help us, Lord, work and be with our families in our hearts and our minds as we are separated in times by many hundreds of miles. Help us join together when we can. When we cannot, allow us to keep them close to our hearts. Those that do not have family, let us be mindful of them. Those that are struggling over the holiday season, that maybe don't, have a place to stay, maybe don't have enough food, let us be mindful of them, Heavenly Father, as you would. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, now switching it back to WBAB 102.3. I'm always interested to see what kind of tune they choose coming out of the break, coming out of the Monsignor's show. So it's 8 o'clock right now, high up. All right, Mellencamp is a wonderful choice by WBAB 102.3. I'm going to join along then.
With a girl like you, with a girl like you. I ain't
Wanted, long hair, loud guitars, and rock and roll.
Yeah, brown guitars, long hair guys and stuff like that, these rock and rolls. They have a sense of humor down. I've talked about this thing before, coming out of the Monsignor show. It's tough to make those darn transitions, man. You come in out of a serious prayer and they're singing a sex anthem. They do it all the time. I don't know why they do it, but doggone it, if they don't do it all the time. Sometimes it's AC/DC with You Shook Me All Night Long. Sometimes you come in with a John Mellencamp song like that. I don't know why they do it, but they do it to me every time. Yeah, I talked about the thing on the program. Those of you that understand the reference, you understand it. Others, I'm not going to explain, you know. And here we have, now we're going to move out into that, and I'm going to get another cup of coffee. I'm going in mobile mode now to the, 7-Eleven. That's right, I'm going to go to a nearby 7-Eleven. Now, I haven't told you anything nearby. Where's here? Well, the Through These Walls Hotel, and folks, there's hundreds of 7-Eleven all over Long Island. Now, back in the day, they had this deal, you know, when I was talking back in the day, like probably, we'll get to that. I'll play that. I certainly will. But, you know, the coffee, only $1, you know, and this whole thing, folks, again, that was a few years ago. It's like $3 now. I was there, you know, yesterday. I was there yesterday, certainly was, before Faye came along. And then Faye and I later in the same day went back to the very same 7-Eleven. Hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah, we're going into a time warp now.
It's an appetite for
it's going to do it.
Weekend.
I got flux capacitor. I got the capacity. We're going to do it in this time warp back in the day, at least musically. And of course, on my show, Sunday Sunrise, from Sundays gone by, when the Monsignor spoke of family life. It's a great thing. I'm going to now drive my car. What a wonderful car, Malibu, love you. That's right. Wonderful car, 2016 black Chevrolet Malibu, doing very well. Now, Faye asked yesterday, what was the mileage on Malibu? She wanted to know. I said, don't worry about it. You know, Malibu's doing wonderful. I'll now provide the mileage, 136,456. And that's it. Malibu doing very, very wonderfully well. She got me down here, and she's the one that'll get me back home. You know, sometimes I do the great song with Neil Young, Long May You Run. Well, that's how I feel about my car Malibu. I hope she runs forever, you know. I hope she goes, you know, well after I'm gone. You know, I hope she lasts forever, basically. And then the next person can enjoy her, as I certainly have. And really, she does the job on this show, playing the tunes and things like that. Now, I think I've said on this program before, my favorite Cars tune happens to be a song by the Cars, sung by, obviously, if it's my favorite Cars song, it's certainly by the Cars, but it's sung by the band's bassist, Benjamin Orr. So that's the one I'm going to put out there now. This one's posted out there by Rhino, not Republican in name only. Again, those Republicans out there that have had the courage to oppose Trump in the past, for example, by expressing that in their vote for impeachment in the House, in the Representatives, and to convict in the Senate. Those that have done that, Republicans, and, you know, Trump has called you a rhino. Well, I give you a tip of my hat. You've had the courage to do the right thing. People like Liz Cheney, people like Adam Kinzinger, and others that have had the guts to do it. Others have not, you know, had that kind of, for example, here in New York, the candidate for governor, Lee Zeldin, House of Representatives guy, did not have that courage. I believe he did not vote to impeach Trump twice, the only president to have been impeached twice, Lee Zeldin did not have the courage to do that. I must say it's true.
Who's gonna tell you when it's too late? Who's gonna tell you things aren't so great? You can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive you home tonight? Who's gonna pick you up when you fall? Who's gonna hang it up when you call? Who's gonna pay attention to your dream? Who's gonna plug your ears when you scream? Can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive me home tonight? Who's gonna hold it down when you lose? Who's gonna come around when you break? Can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive you home tonight? Oh, you know you can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive you home tonight?
Well, the short answer to that is my car Malibu. Certainly is, as we move forward. Now, earlier on the show, started the show with that great clip, again, from the Ronald Maxwell film Gettysburg, a film from back in the early 90s, in which there was family strife. There was at times during that conflict, brother against brother, in-laws against in-laws in that time. Certainly we talk about that in the border states and everything else. And, and how did they get through it? Well, the great leadership of Abraham Lincoln, as I mentioned, and brave men and women who fought for the Union, fought to end slavery. And I thank them for their contributions in the past. We'll be making that trip back in the past. But this is, to me, this is not double trouble. This is double and the captain of her heart. Now, I do have stories about various captains. Believe me, I do have stories. Could be from the world of film or, other things out there in terms of sailing away.
It was way past midnight and she still couldn't fall asleep.
7-Eleven, I'll just kind of shorten it, instead of double, I'll half it, Yeah, I'll half it. I'm talking a lot about DJ Disco Cat. She doubles them up. That's right. For example, the song Overkill by Men at Work doubled it up. The song Africa by Toto, she doubled it up. This, of course, the band double with the captain of her heart. But yeah, we'll just kind of do it like, half it again, absolutely. And I'm going to go get that cup of coffee. I'll be right back. You're listening to Sunday Sunrise. I thought we'd have more time. I'm afraid, folks, I'm going to have to ask you to hold on to your seats. We're going back in time. Thank God for another day. I think they say that. Anyway, I thank God for every single day I wake up. Ooh, it's cold out here, I will tell you. It was 20. Thank you, David Williams. Cold where he is a year ago, almost to this very day. Yeah, I thought we'd start with the most recent thing I have is the 2020-21, November. And this particular one, well, it's from the exact date is what I'm shooting for right now, November the 7th. Today, of course, November the 6th, 2022. So this guy won off, maybe more than one off. But anyway, I'm hoping. I don't know what it's going to be. I probably haven't heard it in a year since I did it last November. And time travel. Now, I'm at 7-Eleven. I got my large coffee. I also got the text from Faye. GML. Now, it stands for Good Morning Love. It's something that we share every day. Faye and I, we do that no matter how far apart we are. And the number given is 30. So that's how much time we have till the end of part one, as I mentioned before. So today's, part one will be shorter than recent ones have been. And that's the way it goes. Sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're longer. David Williams of the past, please bail me out here, need you. Yeah, I'm just, I just have on like a little hoodie and sweatpants, and I'm sitting out here in my car Malibu in my driveway, 7:49. I'm sorry, check that, 6:49 a.m. Oh, it's the whole time thing again. That's fantastic. The time travel and, that change. I still haven't made that change to my car Malibu. It's actually almost 8:30. And David, man, I understand. It's all very confusing. Main display. Some people say this will be the last year, 2022, that we'll have to do it. Some people phrase it like that. Those that are opposed, again, I'm in the minority. I say just leave it alone, I've had it my whole life, going, spring forward, fall back. And to me, it's no big deal. Other people want to make it a big political issue for whatever purpose. I don't know if there's an agenda there. We fell back last night. And so Malibu needs to have her clock right. I'm like shivering. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. But yeah, so I'm just basically doing that right now. Now, the Monsignor will be out. Monsignor Jim Vlaun, today's program on family life. That's right. The Monsignor will speak on family life. I'm excited about the fact. And that's, of course, at 7 a.m., 10 minutes from now. And so, yeah, I'm going into the time correcting Malibu's time, which I've just done while you were talking. Thank you, David Williams of the past. Now you do that, I'll talk. Now again, I'm going into mobile mode. Yes, I got it from the Who. Going mobile. It doesn't mean I'm going mobile with that tune. I'm going mobile with you, David of the past. If you play a song, I'll sing along. We'll double track it together. But please change your clock on Malibu. Go ahead. Malibu, you are an amazing vehicle. Anyway, I'm not sure. My landlord's home, his car's here. Normally I would bust into something like really loud, like a song. Maybe Jesus, Only Jesus by Charles Billingsley. A song which my sister H, she sent to me a YouTube link. And she mentioned the fact that you and he look alike. Now, if you play that song, Jesus, Only Jesus, David of the past, I will join along with you in chorus on it. I will. That I resemble Mr. Billingsley, which is fine. He's a good-looking guy. But I don't know that I can do that, really, at this particular point. I got 10 minutes, and what I have to do, because I'm going to be getting the show, it's going to be broadcast live, WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock, but obviously I'm out of range, being upstate New York, and so I'm going to be going into iHeart, iHeart.com, and getting it streaming from them. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that now. Typically what will happen if you do that, you'll just end up into a talk show called Plugged Into Long Island, which is a fine talk show. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Ooh, man, that's cool. That's fine. I'll just say I'm at the intersection of like two crossroads. It's a service road. I'm not going to tell you whether it's the LIE service road, the Northern State, whether I'm at, Sunrise Highway, whatever it is, I'm at the crossroads. Thank you, David of the past. Keep going. So I didn't really realize that we had fallen back until, I was going to the kitchen and getting my coffee, and I noticed it was light outside. I was like, oh, wow, we must have fallen back last night, because I looked at my phone, which I'm talking to you right now, and it had said that it was like, my alarm was set for 6:30. Now, of course, my phone, Black Velvet, smartphone, it knows this stuff. And so then I grabbed my Timex watch, and I said, aha, we did fall back, because my Timex watch doesn't automatically correct itself. So WBAB, Live Radio, iHeart, click on this thing, and then click on this thing. Now, there'll probably be just a brief commercial, maybe. I'm switching to Bluetooth now. Oh, boy. Here's a commercial of some kind.
The law offices of Joe Bornstein has been successfully representing injured Maynard.
Better Call Saul. It's one of those things, yeah. Or indeed, whatever, Breaking Bad. But I must say that I have been thinking a little bit of Jimmy McGill of late here, David Williams of the past, speaking to you again from November of 22 and doing a little bit of Jimmy McGill, his nursing home bit, Sandpiper Crossing, the whole thing. Again, if I was invited to my mom's nursing home down in PA, I've been thinking about mixing in a little bit of his routine and a little bit of my own stuff, I must say, to that. Advertisement for Joe Bornstein, by your side.
Inspires them with her story. And I think what's really important is
you have plugged into David. David, you have plugged into Long Island. That's right, the radio station down there at WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock. Now you're going to actually listen.
As part of the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, but working with the different healthcare systems, is that it really takes everybody working together to empower women in general, who so many of our illnesses are swept underneath the rug. And Veston is an example of how to empower yourself. And I think that her words are very inspiring.
Stephanie reached out to me from the NOCC, and I just felt an instant sister bond. It, a very strong, I felt like I could ask her anything. I couldn't ask my family. I was trying to protect my family's feelings. I had my children asking me, once I went to chemotherapy and I lost my hair, they were asking me to please tell them the truth if I was going to die. Mommy, please, are you die? That's what they kept asking me. And I said, guys, Mommy, I made a promise to them, which I probably shouldn't have at that point. And I said, Mommy is not going to die. I am going to be here now. Go brush your teeth.
Well, you are manifesting it. That's really what it is. It's not like you were trying to lie to them, but you were manifesting that things would get better for you.
Yeah, and then I go into this meeting. It was my first time ever.
Just going to interrupt here, I need to turn on my defroster. My window's covered with frost, and so I'll just turn up the volume a little louder.
Just growing the hair, and we all hugged. Obviously, this was right before COVID, and I was able to ask everything, the most intimate questions, because there's a lot that goes on with the surgery. I had a radical hysterectomy, and there's a lot of things that happened afterwards that I didn't know who to ask that to. And I love the nurses at the Invert Center. They were godsend. These women, I'm Facebook friends with some of them. It's just, I feel like they understand. They understand what I feel, what I think, and the fears I had. I had many, many fears that I didn't want to associate. I didn't want to discuss with my mom or my mother-in-law, who never left my side. I love the NLCC, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to them. They are beautiful women, just beautiful women.
I think the best statement is what Cassidy said. It's that connection, right? That is what our ultimate goal is connecting women who have a shared experience. We are a national women's health organization that envisions a future where no woman ever loses her life to ovarian cancer. And how do we accomplish homelessness is through the prevention and cure, and to provide programs and services and improve the quality of life for survivors, but also their caregivers, because caregivers play a very critical role in somebody's journey as they are navigating through the emotional and physical impacts of diagnosis. And I think that Vesna talked about our ability to connect her with other women. We have support programs called our Chill Hearts Network, which is really critical, that brings women, regardless of where you are on your journey. It could be for somebody that's newly diagnosed, it could be for a woman who is facing recurrence, and it could also be for long-term survivors. We are very fortunate and blessed that we have some long-term survivors who are celebrating 17, 20, 30 years of survivorship. They are the miracles of our group that empower other women and inspire them and give them hope, because as our longest term survivor here on Long Island would say, is nobody should ever take away your ability to have hope. So what does a woman have that she can empower herself with? Knowledge. Know what those signs and symptoms are. Feel something, say something. Go to the doctor if those symptoms are lingering for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And Thanksgiving is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks, and the most important thing that you could do is sit down and have an open conversation with your family. Everybody's together, or perhaps you're not because of COVID, you're virtual. Have a virtual Zoom, and let's talk about what our family history is, because that family history can provoke somebody to go to the doctor. And if somebody is being diagnosed, having that genetic history empowers you, because it also can impact how a woman is treated today, which is giving them more time. And what would we not want more than to have more time with our loved ones?
If you have ovaries, keep it in mind. Couldn't have said any better myself.
I would love to thank all you ladies for doing this, for speaking out, and everyone that is in the field. I felt true, genuine love from these people, from my doctors, from my nurses. I truly felt that they care, and they still reach out to me, and they know my children's names. So I just really want to thank the millions of just so many faces out there that I just want to reach out and hug, because when I was in my lowest point and I was truly scared, I was getting hugs from them. So it's very important. And please just listen to your body. Just listen, ladies. If everyone's just listening, if you know a cousin that says, oh, you know what, my belly hurts, just please reach out to them and say, please just get that checked. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it.
I think that's such an important message, Vesna. Thank you so much, ladies, for taking time out of your day to chat with me. Antoinette, Vesna, Valerie, Stephanie, thank you so much for educating all of Long Island. If you want to learn more, check out ovarian.org. It's Tori on 102.3 WBAB and 106.1 VLI. You're plugged into Long Island. Have a great day.
Planned Parenthood is committed to bringing high-quality care to...
All right, they're obviously talking about a very serious subject there with ovarian cancer. Last month, the nation, honored women who have had breast cancer. We talked about that on the show. October was Breast Cancer Awareness Week. And lately, what I do is I talk about things, that I've been watching on TV, like Breaking Bad. Of course, that show does deal, of course, with Walt's illness, his diagnosis of inoperable lung cancer. Of course, it was inoperable until the tumor was shrunk due to radiation and chemotherapy. And then Walt, he's out of danger temporarily, at least. The doctors say he's been given more time. That's not to say he's cured, And so, I would definitely talk about it. And, of course, very much so, the series Breaking Bad talks to family. It does, the importance of family. Now, smooth David Williams of the past. First of all, you bit your lip through the conversation between the two ladies there at Plugged Into Long Island. You held your voice. You didn't say a word. You were quiet as a mouse. And now you're making this smooth transition into tying somehow Breaking bad stuff going on there, but tying it back in with family. Aha! Somewhat of an extended family. His wife, Sky, she has a sister by the name of Marie. That's Sky. S-K-Y, up in the air. Sky is her name, Skylar. Marie has a husband by the name of Hank. Hank faces danger, grave danger. David. By a couple of gangbangers, who really have planned to kill him in a parking lot, and he was warned ahead of time and things like that. Yeah, and Walt was like on the edge of death. And then, of course, his physical therapy was going to take a lot of money. It's not covered by Walt's plan. That was, back in the day, I think, before we had the Affordable Care Act, but really still to this day, there are people without health coverage, and I actually feel for those people. I do. And that's why I have said on my show that I think that universal health care should be really a right of citizenship and not a privilege, as it is in many Western democracies. I mentioned before the fact that my daughter lives over there in England. They have a fine National Health Service. That, of course, changed since then. That's not to disparage their fine National Health Service. It's still a fine way to go over there in England. But she is now back in the U.S., and I'm obviously not going to say a long, thing about that, except certainly that I love my daughter, my son, and you're doing a fine job, David of the Past, explaining ththings. Provides them and really all the people of the United Kingdom with health care, No, of course, we don't have pre-existing conditions now because of the Affordable Care Act that Barack Obama pushed through. Now, that's not to say you do not have pre-existing conditions. I do not know who you are, but if you had them, your health care affordability and your ability to pay and your coverage for those pre-existing conditions, and whether you would be able to, again, transport that from one job to another, well, then that wouldn't be in jeopardy if you had that protection. If it was rolled back, for example, by people on the right that wish to do so, well, then you just go back to the past, to the way they want it, where there would be no... Obviously, get rid of the Obama plan. There would be no protection for your pre-existing conditions. Let's say you had diabetes, which I know you don't, David of the Past, but please, go ahead. I'm thinking back in the Trump administration now. In terms of Trump's health plan, a hero of mine, the former senator, the late John McCain of Arizona, he came into the Congress and gave it the thumbs down. He gave Trump's plan the thumbs down. The hero of yours, the late great senator from Arizona, John McCain, gave Trump the thumbs down. Is that what you're saying? And I think that was the right call that he did, and I thank him for his service to his country, by the way.
At Speedway, we know.
Absolutely. Now, yesterday I was talking about Trump. I was a little annoyed. I don't know if I got carried away with myself. It was extreme overtime. Sunday. Well, that's your prerogative, David of the Past. It's your show. So if you're on your show, your Saturday show, extreme overtime, you got a little annoyed, a little aggravated. Well, that's your call. I mean, I respect that. Back a little bit. The issue was Trump had come out, at least according to the press, and purposefully called out Alec Baldwin. He said he purposefully shot the cinematographer on the set of Rust. That's complete nonsense by Trump. One of many statements made by Trump, either at his site, which I prefer to call Lie Social, or, back on Twitter before he was booted off. Now, of course, Musk has purchased Twitter, and he has promised to let Trump and other extremists from, again, the far right or the far left back on. You used to have 5 strikes, you're out now. If you're an extremist, everything you do online, David of the Past, is a home run. That's right. It's like, boom. Oh, it's a long fly. You've made an extreme thing out there on social media. It's gone. It's gone. You've won for your cause. That's pretty much where we're at now. And I said, that's complete nonsense. A scurrilous, outrageous thing for someone to say that doesn't know jack about Alec Baldwin, doesn't know what's in his heart. Yeah, Trump doesn't know jack about what's in Alec Baldwin's heart. I stand by what I said. I understand the recent developments, David of the Past, is that word on the street is there are charges. An indictment is imminent on Mr. Baldwin. I said it's going to basically be a farce trial, a media trial, for a lot of people to send a lot of reporters to. And in the end, the jury verdict is going to be not guilty. Clearly, there was no intent on the part of Mr. Baldwin, and any attempt to do so is going to prove completely fail. It's going to prove to be a complete failure because any evidence to the contrary just is not true. This has been widely laid out there. The man clearly contrite. It was the worst day of his life, and he's been talking about that. And clearly, in my view, there'll be a trial. You're not going to find 12 people to convict this guy on any sort of charge of any kind, criminality. It'll be not guilty for Alec Baldwin in the end, and I'll come out. If I'm wrong about that, I'll come out. If he is indicted or something, or convicted, I'll come out and say I was wrong. But I'm standing by my prediction on this matter, David of the past. I certainly am. I'd come out clearly distraught over the death of his friend, and it was an accident. You guys know the story. I don't really need to do a deep dive, and everyone knows that it was a prop gun. Yeah, everyone knows it was a prop gun, that they were doing a movie or, a docuseries or some sort of entertainment thing, and that there was no intent to harm anyone on the set of Rust. Absolutely not. Had live ammunition in the prop gun, and Alec Baldwin never meant to purposefully kill anyone. And so, I came out. Now, people have been pointing fingers at the prop master, saying, well, why did the prop master have loaded ammunition in that weapon, And to me, if they go after that person, whoever that person is, prop master, I predict not guilty for that individual as well. I'm just saying. Just Alec Baldwin fan of all time or anything like that. But I think he's did a fine job. Now, I must say, then I talked about the fact that he did do an impression of Trump, and Trump promised retribution against him. And that's really wrong. I mean, if you look back at the history of all of our great presidents, I think Trump was like 45. You look back at him, or even Mr. Biden, you're not going to find a president promising retribution upon a private citizen of the United States using that office for that type of a thing. I don't think you're going to find that. If you look and here's the Monsignor, so my talking time is over. Monsignor Jim Vlaun and Religion&Rock. Now, while I have a chance, I'll just mention here, back in 2022, remember, we had the time change, and Faye's aware of that. That's why Faye is kind enough to come a little early today than she normally would, and I thank her for that as we continue here on the program. Thank you, David of the past, and, of course, introducing the Monsignor to the show.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and here is our producer and engineer, Mr. Stephen Sheldon.
Hello there, sir. How you doing today?
Doing well. How you doing? All right?
I'm doing great as we're speeding towards the holidays.
I also got my booster shot.
Oh, okay.
Boosted now. I feel boosted.
I didn't get the booster. I went to the doctor. I got the flu shot.
Yeah.
And my first shingle shot. And let me tell you, that kind of hit me a little bit.
Well, the shingle shot, you can do that, but the booster, you got to get the booster shot.
Yeah, I'm going to get that.
It'll be impervious to all treatments.
Oh, that booster shot. Yes. I'll put it on the list.
Funny thing, I heard from some family the other day who I haven't heard from like in a year and a half.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, oh, you're living still. So it's a funny thing. Like every now and then, certain family members like plug in. I'm grateful that they call or text or anything. But I mean, like it's kind of nice to hear from them. And you just like when you get back with family, it doesn't take a lot of time to get back to square one, right?
No, you fall right back into the old patterns. It's the same with friends or family. Yeah, you just kind of pick up where you left off.
Like when you're on the phone with your brothers, like if you haven't spoke to one of them in a couple of weeks, it's like no big deal.
Yeah, no, you just pick back up on it. And there's four of us together, and there's inevitably one of us who doesn't communicate better than the other at certain times. So we kind of gang up on that.
It all works out one way or another. Yeah. Well, we're talking about family life today, and it's not always easy, but that's part of the gift that God gives us, this gift of family, who we didn't ask for, but they're there, And that's part of the joy, the gift, and also part of the struggle, but it's more a gift than anything else in a lot of ways, and it's the first church, Pope Francis says, and I really believe that. So we're looking at family today on Religion and Rock. We all have family, that's for sure, and yet it's about maneuvering through family, don't you think?
Yeah, it is, because you're right. You don't get to pick this group of people you're stuck with for your life with. If you're fortunate enough, for the duration they're there, and they're annoying, and they're petty, and they're fun, and they're everything that family is,
Yeah, and the same thing, they're cherished gifts, right?
Oh, yes.
And if you want to see if they're cherished gifts, here's the thing. Think about the ones who have left us and how much we miss them because they're cherished gifts, So that's kind of part of it. The other thing I was thinking about today, too, to talk about this is like the people out there who are not necessarily blood related will become family to us, right? Which is kind of a nice thing. Like you and I have been working together for so many years. I mean, I talk to you more than anybody else pretty much in my entire life. And like, it's kind of interesting. Like we don't really socialize a lot, but we do this together for 33 years.
Right. Because
we know each other for a long time.
We're, brothers from other mothers, or there's sons or daughters from other fathers and things like that. Yeah, it's these are the people that you get to choose to be your family. Those people you're stuck with.
And like even our lives, like, we didn't go to school together. Like we just kind of met through this radio show. Kind of an interesting thing. And it's a day where we're going to take a look, like looking back and thinking about who are the people God has put in our lives to kind of walk with us through it, and who are the people who were born into our lives, or we were born into their lives, and like kind of having a sense of gratefulness for the gift of those people, the gift of family, the gift of friends, and recognizing that, because I think this world is a world that kind of is reminding us more than ever that we need other people in our lives. Don't you think?
And I see it with my nieces and nephews and stuff. And when they do kid stuff, you remind them and go, hey, they're going to be there for you for the rest of your life. You might not like them now, but, you need to learn to treat them well.
Yeah, bottom line, family life, it's worth the investment. And that's what we're looking at on Religion and Rock, a show about family and the gift and the struggle sometimes and what it's all about to be part of a family. To start us off today, this is Talking Heads. It's called Take Me to the River.
Now, what will David Williams of the past do? Will he join in the singing of it, or will he continue to be a talking head and talk through the entire thing? I'm going to bet that he does a little of both, that he talks a little and then he sings a little. That's what I'm going to bet, but I'll tell you what, it's, 9 minutes to 9. Yes, and I've set Malibu's clock is correct. And, agrees with Black Velvet, my cell phone, which is recording this show. And Faye has arrived. And so that'll do it for part 1. We'll continue again with this mystery question. What will David Williams of the past do with the Talking Heads tune at the beginning of part 2? And thank you for continuing to listen to Sunday Sunrise.